parang serendipity? How did you ended up in
Mhm.
magic and not in the, I guess, tama ba? Not in the mechanical
Mechanical
engineering field?
engineering.
Oh, sige, sige. Oh, that's a very good question. And again, good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Valle. And let me just quickly introduce myself now before I move on to that story. This is part of the story, by the way, the introduction. So, I've been working in the BPO industry, yung call center industry, and the outsource industry for the last 20 years. And I've been the head of recruitment for a VA agency or a virtual assistant agency for more than 5 years. I've also been the head of training for more than 8 years. And the reason I mention this is like what Joe Mark and RJ mentioned. I've had experience in talking to clients, talking to applicants, talking to virtual assistants, and seeing the entire recruitment process from them applying to them being interviewed by the client. So I've seen that, and I guess, thousands and thousands of interviews I've witnessed. And I hope to share some value later on how to help you pass the interviews. I'm also a consultant. I'm also a coach. And lastly, I in our spare time, my wife and I rescue cats in the neighborhood. So we have built a small shelter for cats in our home, and I guess that's one thing that I'd like to share as well. So with that said, your question is, our Joe Mark now. What brought me to this space? If you'll notice, I did not take the usual trajectory of a person who graduated mechanical engineering. Just because, and I'll be blunt, no, I'll be very honest. When I graduated mechanical engineering in UST, it took me 6 years to graduate. And after graduating, I think I was maybe the second or third lowest graded person in my batch. And I thought to myself, wow, I don't have any advantages. If I go into that mechanical engineering path, it would be very hard for me to make a good career out of it. So I thought to myself, what should I do to gain some advantage? And this was 20 years ago, right? And I realized that this was when the call centers were booming. And um, when I observed mechanical engineers who were employed at that time, not a lot of people or not a lot of mechanical engineers can speak great English, can communicate very well in English. So I thought I'll join the call center industry to get free training, free experience, and also get paid. Oh, um, I guess eventually I fell in love with the industry. I stayed there. Uh, I think in 2 or 3 years I became a leader in the industry. I've experienced a lot of leadership roles in the BPO industry, and it led me eventually to being the manager for customer success in Magic.
Was there a point in your career, Andrew, na naging vacant ka din or you were unemployed?
Ay, oo, oo.
Curious kami. Yeah, yeah.
Oo, Sir Joe Mark. Medyo madami naman. I think there's been a lot of in-betweens in some of the companies or transition companies that I've joined. Yung narinig ko kay RJ kanina that he was unemployed for about a month before he joined the company. Actually, the longest that I've been unemployed, or not unemployed, but haven't really joined the company is maybe more than a year. Meron akong ganong time na ano. So I feel and really relate to the experience of a lot of people trying to join or trying to apply to jobs, getting rejected over and over, sending 50 resumes, 10 resumes every day, di ba? Yan ang my experience natin. I can truly relate to that. And nung nag-reach out nga si Jomark to kind of do this live, I said yes immediately because I know the value that LinkedIn Philippines wanted to provide to everyone to help them at least have a better chance in getting hired. And I hope again this live session at least provides some value to you, and for some maybe a refresher, no? Like what Joe Mark mentioned, meron tayong mga viewers possibly that were employed before, but
Mm.
are currently unemployed. So hopefully for some this is a refresher, and then for some this adds value to you. Okay, so the next slide would really show a snapshot of what's currently happening in the Philippines. I'll walk you through just two things here. First, there's about 15% of people that are underemployed in the Philippines. What does underemployed mean? Underemployed means that in 100 people that are currently with jobs, 15 of those people are unhappy because they're performing at a lower level than what they are capable of. Let's say you'll have, I don't know, maybe someone who is very skilled in leadership, functioning in a lower level job or an entry level job. And that's happening to, again, 15 out of 100 people. To break it down further, if you're 10 in a team, one or two of you in that 10-person team is currently underemployed based on this statistic. Next, out of 100 applicants in BPOs or VA agencies, only 3 people get to the client interview. So again, I'll repeat that. 3%, only 3% get hired currently. That's the market going percentage in terms of hire rate in BPOs and agencies. And if there are recruitment people in the live event, please correct me if I'm wrong. I know it's between 3 to 5%, but if it's lower or higher, please feel free to comment. What's the percentage at the moment? But yeah, so why am I sharing this? Why are we sharing this? It's important for two reasons. One, being underemployed is again maybe stopping motivation, stopping your happiness because you're not performing at a level where you can. Pati yung contributions nyo would be hindered because you can perform more. It's just that you're not hired for the right role. Next, 3%, only 3% of people are hired and get to the client interviews. And what happens to the 97 people, right? So that's the question. What happens to the 97 people? And the hope is during these live sessions, during the initiatives coming from Jomark and Sir RJ and LinkedIn Philippines, that we hope to help those 97 people get hired or land their jobs or land their careers sooner than later. Ayan. So, which brings me to the point. Why are we here? Why are we doing this live, no? Uh, there are three reasons I'd like to share. Maybe Joe, Mark, and RJ can also share. But three reasons for me would be first, we want to equip you with up to date information and tips on how to pass your interviews. If you notice, the title of the live event is Get Hired, and what you'll realize would be what's stopping you from getting hired. What's that one process in between unemployment and getting hired? It's the interview process, right? That's the only process in between you that's currently unemployed or maybe getting a promotion and getting into a company. That whole interview or application process. So we want to give you tips on how to pass that, real life and on the ground tips because I've seen and participated in countless of interviews. I hope that gives value to you. And then second, we want to bridge the gap between many, many, many skilled Filipino workers and the existing talent demand because I know for a fact that there are a lot of call centers, a lot of VA agencies, a lot of clients hiring right now. And we also have a lot, like what Joe Mark mentioned, we also have a lot of unemployed Filipinos. And there's skill. There's a lot of Filipinos that are skilled. We hope that this live event can bridge that gap, right? To provide the Filipino workers jobs and provide the clients and the companies the skilled workers that they need. The third one is to hope to create more awareness around the LinkedIn Philippines community. Uh, I've seen Joe Mark last month and in person, by the way. And It was really great to see everyone sharing the same goal of helping more Filipinos really leverage on LinkedIn to pursue their dream careers, maybe elevate their careers, and we hope to create more awareness around this community.
Highly agree with Sir Andrew. Ayan, nakakatuwa na to meet, 'di ba? To meet persons, ayan, individuals who share the
Mm.
same passion with you. The reason ako din, I'm also a technical person, so we do a lot of training. The reason I was able to discover LinkedIn, ayan, is to help our fellow countrymen find jobs. And nakakalungkot na, ayan, no, a lot of Filipinos are more investing their time in entertainment than education. But ayan, nakakatuwa din na our LinkedIn community is growing, and 'di ba? It's an advantage for you if you're already in LinkedIn. How about pala, 'di ba, to the rest of who are not yet in LinkedIn? So, yep.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very good point, Joe Mark. I suggest first to sign up on LinkedIn. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's very helpful. I found my current job through LinkedIn, and I met a lot of great people. Some of them are my friends now in LinkedIn too. Ito lagi ko sinasabi sa mga tao na nagtatanong sa akin or the people that I mentor and coach, why I encourage them to be on LinkedIn. And I'm sure you've heard this ano ba, anecdote that you're only as good as the people that you're in company with, right? Kung sino yung mga lagi mong kausap, kung sino yung mga lagi mong kasama, you're most likely going to be as good or maybe just slightly better than them, but you're not going to be really really higher than the people that you hang out with. And this was a revelation for me because when I became active in LinkedIn, I saw a lot of very brilliant and very passionate people in LinkedIn, and that pushed me to also elevate my own game, learn more, share more. And yeah, that's why I encourage everyone. If you're not in LinkedIn, please just create a profile, be on LinkedIn, follow LinkedIn Philippines, add myself, add Joe Mark, add RJ, and interact with everyone because there's just a lot of talent in LinkedIn that's willing and able to help.
Yeah. Tama yun. Thanks for sharing that, because I think right now we have more viewers in Facebook than in
Wow, thank you.
LinkedIn.
Cool.
So for those who are watching in Facebook, yeah, please connect, especially to Sir Andrew, yan, in LinkedIn. Yep.
Sige, oh. Thank you, Joe Mark. Sige, oh. Yeah, let's proceed, no? So first, the first part of the discussion. Well, first, there are two parts of the discussion. The first part is I'll share with you the process on how, or the usual recruitment process of a company or a call center or a VA agency. And also share with you the normal process of how a client hires directly, right? Next, the second phase of this presentation will show you suggestions on how to get hired. And without further ado, let me share with you the current standard recruitment process of a normal or traditional BPO or a traditional VA agency, a virtual assistant agency. It normally comes in 5 steps, right? You'll have, first, of course, you'll send your resume. And when it gets to the table or gets to the email of the recruitment team, they will review your CV. So this is the first check. They will review your CV, and if you pass the initial paper screening, they will ask you to send an audio recording review. Now, some agencies, some companies would automatically ask you to send an audio recording review along with a CV, and then they review that. After they review that and you pass that initial paper screening, most likely you will be sent an assessment in your email, and you will need to answer that assessment in the soonest possible time. The assessment would cover normally how you comprehend and communicate in English, as well as some competencies in terms of logic, and at some point your typing skills. So yan ang assessment. If you pass that second gate, the third gate will be an initial interview with the recruitment team. Now, the recruitment team is normally based in the Philippines, so Pinoy ang mag-interview sa atin dito. And they will ask you the normal interview questions, normal initial interview questions. And if you pass that third gate, you will be endorsed to a final interview. Now, the final interview is also normally done by a Filipino based in the Philippines, but sometimes it's someone based in either the US or Canada, or someone offshore, right? But that's the final interview. And oops, sorry. After that, they will most likely either hire you within the agency or within the company, and they will set you up for your client interview. You'll notice that the final interview is not the final gate, right? In most VA agencies, you're not really earning a lot until you get your client. That's why I included the client interview as a very crucial part of the recruitment process, because up until you get hired by a client, that's the only time that you'll really earn a significant amount of compensation, because now you're working directly with the client. Okay. Next would be uh, the direct to client hiring process. You'll notice it's very clean and only contains 3 steps. If you'll be hired directly by the client, they will most likely ask for your CV or resume and your audio recording, most especially if you're applying for a job that requires talking. Then they will most likely send you an assessment and then interview you once. And after that, they will hire you. So very clean, very simple if you're direct to clients. Any questions on
Yep.
about for these 2 slides?
Siguro to Sir RJ, no? Curious to know how many interviews did you have before getting the JO? Ayan, as a newly hired.
And sa process, sir, it took like one to at least 3 to 4 interviews. Kasi
Mm.
like Sir Andrew said, meron kasi assessment and client interview, but meron silang tinatawag na profiling na tinatawag now, in which generic para siyang job fair or parang lahat interview nila, and then profiling is where titignan nila where do you fit in, what kind of job will be offered to you. So in my case, I got profiled into 3 fields, in which one is about YouTube streaming moderation and stuff like that. Since they knew, I also added it on my resume that I am a Twitch affiliate. So they said, "Oh, you're actually doing live streams and stuff, so you do moderation." And I said, "Yes." And the other one is about technical stuff, since I graduate of IT. And then the other one is customer support, which is I do as a virtual admin or virtual assistants, like Sir Andrew said. And to be honest, I agree 100% with Sir Andrew kasi yung process is ganun talaga. When I applied for a VA job, bihira talaga yung aabot ka sa client interview, which is very, very hard. Like, out of 5 to 6 job offers or job that I got into, isa lang ata yung inabot ko where I got the chance to get the client
Mm.
interview. And it's really hard. Ayun, Sir Andrew.
Oh.
Ayan, very true, RJ. And I'm glad you shared your experience. Thank you for sharing. Uh, the, I've seen and spoke with a lot of people that are trying to be part of the VA agency or
Mhm.
VA world as well, and yeah, they concur with your what you shared. It's really hard to even get to a client interview. Much harder to pass the client interview.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, we hope that this kind of helps everyone, no? And with that said, let's now answer the question. How do you get hired? How do we get hired? This is why we're here, right? And for some, this could be a refresher, and for some, this may add value. What we're really looking to target with this live event would be people who are trying to join the virtual assistant agencies, or people who are trying to work with clients from overseas. But some of the learnings and some of the suggestions in this event, or in these slides, could easily be applicable to anyone wanting to get hired in, let's say, any company. So we hope you take some value. And with that said, let's answer the question: how do we get hired? We have, as people who are looking for jobs, I suggest you have four goals, right? Your goal would be, number one, know the company or the client that you're applying for, or the job, where the job that you're applying for is. Know the company and the client, or the clients. Second, establish your competency for the role when you get to the interview. Number three, show that you are dependable. And number four, check if you're a culture fit. So again, four things that you have to do throughout the entire application process to increase your chances of getting hired. Now let's tackle them one by one. Right? Please feel free to ask questions in the comments, and please feel free to stop me if we want to expound more on one specific area. So let's take the first one. Know the company or the client. So how do you do this? You do this by making sure you do your research. Um, Check the company's or the client's website, check their LinkedIn profile, check their Facebook, check everything, even Instagram, every single social media site that you can check. Please do your research as you apply. Now, one of the questions that I normally get would be, how much research should I do? How much should I know? Up to what point should I, or up to what point can I say I've done enough research? To that, I say I can't really mention a specific stopping point. The stopping point is when you feel you've done enough, then you've most likely done enough. Um, Make sure to write all your research down or take notes, because that will be very helpful when you get to the interview process. Next, check the mission and vision of the company. Also, check the core values. Why is this important? These are very good talking points later. If you know the mission and the vision and the core values of the company or the client, you can attach them or talk about them like they're your own, especially if they're your own. A good example would be a normal core value that most companies have would be integrity, right? So if you know that that's one of the core values, you can say uh, in your interview that you're a person who practices high integrity, you're a person who has integrity as one of their highest core values, and the likes, right? You can talk about how you're calibrated with their core value, how you practice their own core value. Lastly, under know the company or the client, make sure to check online reviews, right? Uh, Almost everyone and everything gets reviewed now. Sa Facebook, sa LinkedIn, lahat, no? So check the online reviews. Why is this important? Knowing the company and the client that you're applying for, you have to understand if you also want the job. The whole application process is a two-way street. You have to know if you want to pursue the company or the client, and they need to know if you're the right fit for the role. It's a two-way street, and checking online reviews is a very it's a good method to start feeling if this is the right company for you. Now, one caveat here. Uh, I know some companies try to pad their online reviews, or even some freelancers try to pad their online reviews. How do they do this? If you're applying for a company and they ask you to leave a positive feedback on their Facebook page, or they ask you to like their Facebook page, For me, that's a personal red flag. I don't know for you. Of course, each person is different, but you'll see. I think you'll agree with me that at some point that's manipulating online reviews, right? And unfortunately, there are some companies that do this, so it makes online checking the online reviews a bit uh, not really useless, but it doesn't show the right picture. Nevertheless, it's still best to check online reviews because you'll see a lot of feedback about the company that you're applying for in the reviews. Any questions on this slide? Let's check chat, maybe.
Ako siguro, Sir Andrew, to
Hmm.
add, hindi lang naman na necessarily ano, 'di ba, from what I've learned throughout the years, the salary.
Hmm.
But the culture, sino yung makakasama mo. And for me, when I was still hunting, ayan, job hunting, like what you've mentioned earlier about LinkedIn, I'll try to dig in as much as I can to individual employees ng company na yun para matanong ko na itong hiring manager ba ay may pagka-coops, 'di ba? Or ano mo yun, sa ganung level kasi totoo yun,
Yes.
eh, parang same like basketball, kahit anong galing mo pero yung coach hindi ka binabangko ka, walang mangyayari. So,
Yes. Very true. Very, very true. Parang ano yan eh, scouting report. You need to scout the company and yeah, you're right. Absolutely. It's important that you go to a job or a client or a company that shares your own values and doing your research is very important. That's why, like what Joe Mark mentioned, LinkedIn is very important here because almost all professionals are on LinkedIn and you'll get a good grasp of what's happening in the company if you observe their LinkedIn pages.
yeah.
Okay, sige, let's move on. So that's the first one, knowing the company and the client. Second one is establishing your competency. So how do you establish your competency? First, build the best resume or CV. I think this is what RJ mentioned earlier, right? For me, there isn't really a standard way of building your CV. Of course, everyone would have different competencies. Everyone would have different backgrounds. And building your CV uh, will depend on those competencies and those backgrounds. Now, how do you build the best CV? The first thing that I would suggest you do is triple check your CV. Triple check anything you submit for that matter. Make sure there are no grammatical errors. Make sure the fonts are correct. They're the same. If you're attaching a photo, I hope it's a professional photo. Again, triple check everything. Make sure there's no grammatical errors or errors in the CV. Why is that important? Why is checking your CV important? Um, Now, everyone makes mistakes, right? We all know that. But in your CV, hopefully you don't make a mistake before you send it to the company or the client that you're applying for. Why is that? It's because you've had time to work on your CV. This is the document that best represents you even before they talk to you. And unfortunately, if you send a resume that's cluttered, that has a lot of grammatical errors or errors, it will be perceived, even if it's not true, it will be perceived that you're the type of candidate that does not give value to the work that he or she is about to do. Because you've had time to work on your CV and yet it has errors. And that may mean that when you get to do the job, it will contain errors too, right? And again, we understand that everyone makes mistakes, but as a suggestion, please triple check your CV. If Make sure that it's spotless, make sure it's the best CV or best resume that you'll send every time. Now, One best practice that I can share with you here is to have someone else look at your CV. Pa-QA nyo sa ibang tao. Have someone else do a quality check. Your mother, your brother, your father, your sister, your best friend. If there's none of those, add me on LinkedIn. Send me your CV. Just say, hey, Andrew, can you double check my CV? And if I have time, I'll make sure to reply. Well, I'll reply, but it might not be immediate, but I'll make sure to check your CV and reply. All right, next. We covered triple check anything you submit. That includes your CV and any exams that you will send or assessments that you will send the client and the company. Number 3 is nail your introduction. Now, this question is, can you tell me something about yourself? Can you tell me more about yourself? That is your introduction. In those first 2, 3, or 5 minutes, a lot of conclusions will be formed in the person that you're talking to about you, right? So if you're presenting yourself in the most confident way possible and you know exactly what you'll say, yet it doesn't sound scripted, there's a very good chance that you'll move on to the next round or you'll get hired solely based on how you nail your introduction. So really be confident, practice your introduction. And again, this is the question of, can you tell me more about yourself? Can you walk me through your previous experience? Uh, those questions are really around you introducing yourself. So practice that in the mirror, record yourself if you want to, and then listen to it. Make sure that it's the best introduction that you can do. And again, if you need help uh, about nailing your introduction or making your introduction, there's a lot of resources online, especially in YouTube, for those in YouTube. But if not, I make a lot of posts about getting hired. I know a lot of people in the top 100 also do that to help out. And that's why, again, it's important to be on LinkedIn because there's just a lot of free information that you can leverage to get hired. Number 4 is prepare for the most common interview questions. Uh, there's a lot of these. No, I won't go into too much detail because I'm sure a lot of you have Googled this. A lot of you have did a YouTube research on this. So prepare for those. Understand how it will get asked, and then frame your answers around how it should be answered, and also being honest. So I think RJ mentioned that he got hired because he was honest. That's very important. Right? That's very, very important to be honest in your interview, but also be prepared. Right? We're not saying that just be honest, that's okay na, just wing it. No. Prepare for the most common interview questions and then share your honest feedback or honest background about a specific topic. Lastly, before we go to the comment section, because we want to address a few things here. Lastly, on establish your competency would be have a growth mindset. Now, what is a growth mindset? The growth mindset is having the mindset that everything that happens to you is part of your growth. It contributes to your growth. Let's say something bad happened to you in your previous company. If you have the mindset that that's something negative that happened to you is a way for you to learn new skills, or it was a springboard for you to uh, understand how the team dynamics work, that's going to be very useful as you go into that interview process. Ano yung reverse? Ano yung hindi growth mindset? And this is where this whole live event came from. No? I made a post about some candidates talking negatively about their previous employers, right? If you don't have a growth mindset, there's a tendency that some people would talk talk negatively about their previous employers, their previous bosses, and share that on the interview of their next company, on their next company or their next client. No, I'll tell you right now, this is the one of the best ways to not get hired. If you talk negatively about your previous companies, previous clients, previous bosses, no, sure, almost, well, not even almost, 100% of the time, I've attended an interview that had the candidate share something very negative and then expounded on it. The client did not hire the person. 100% of the time. So please do not do that because, again, we hope you get hired, right? When I do the interview, the first thing I ask is, they have done research. Yeah, yes, correct. So, if this is from Miss Remy, Miss Remy, thank you for sending this. Yeah. So this is coming from a person doing the interview, no? So
Mm-mm.
you'll see here that the first thing they ask is if you've done your research about the company. And exactly for the reason that they want to know if you're really interested in joining the company, right? The amount of time we spend researching is almost equal to the amount of time or the amount of interest that we have on a specific company or a specific topic. So thank you, Miss Remy, for sharing that.
Yeah, and tama yun, no? If you make a research, is it establishes then initially your competency, 'di
Correct.
ba?
Exactly. Exactly. We also have another comment here from Marina Salis. Sir, how would you gauge the CV or resume of the applicants?
Mhm.
Um, the safest answer that I can give you here for you, for anyone who is new, is Microsoft Word, or even I think Google Word or Google Docs has ready templates for resumes. Canva has ready templates for resumes. Pick one, edit them based on your competency and skills, and then go with it. Now, specific gauging of the resume would really be around your skills and competencies, right? And again, each person would have a different skills or different competencies. But if you send a resume that does not have errors, that's really clean because you used a template from, let's say, Canva or Google Docs, that's okay. That's going to be your very best bet in sending that resume. Just use a template that's available online. More importantly, make sure that it's clean and error-free. Meron pa tayong follow-up question. Sir, paano po i-address yung ganyan negative feedback from your employer? In fact, we all know the system. Okay, okay. So very good question. Let's answer this question before we proceed now. How do we? So let's say you had a really really bad experience with your previous employer, and tinanong the question is, so how would you describe your previous employer? Let's say that's the question. And let's say employer X na lang. Employer X really gave you a hard time. Sobrang toxic nung company. So how do you answer that truthfully yet professionally? My suggestion there is thank you for that question, sir. Or let's say thank you for that question. I worked for employer X for the last 2 years. And in those 2 years, I really learned a lot. I learned the value of hard work. I learned the value of making sure that I stay on track of my deliverables, and also the value of grit or pursuing my goals in the company regardless of the challenges that I faced. I'm thankful for them that I learned these skills, and these same skills are the same skills that I can apply should I join your company. So if you'll notice there, you're thanking your previous company for all the hardships that you've been through because you learned from them. You learn to be a stronger person, right? And that's the growth mindset really. Even on the most negative or even the most negative things that can happen to you would have a positive effect on you because you learn something. You grow from your hardships. And that's exactly what you can say when you address, or if you want to address negative feedback from your employer. Let's take on number three, dependability. So we're done with the first two. Number three is show you are dependable. Why is this important? Let's say, let's all pretend we are owners of a company, right? And we are interviewing someone for a specific role that you want to hire. Again, ikaw may-ari ng company, nag-interview ka ng tao. If you list down the things that you want that person to be, number one or number two would be dependability. Well, first would normally be, is the person skilled? Is the person competent? Next would be, is the person dependable? Dependability is, um, will you do what is required to support the company? Will you do what you're asked to do if they hire you? Will you be there? Will you show up uh, if they hire you? So, how do you show this, right, in the interview, or how do you show this in the application process? First, be on time, right? Uh, Outside talking negatively about your previous employer, being late is a close second to not being hired. If you're late, there's a big chance that they'll just look over your resume and really not um, really not take you seriously on the interview just because you're late. And I'm saying this as candidly as I can, right? I don't mean to offend anyone. I'm sure again there's a lot of reasons why we can't be on time, but for interviews specifically, I hope you make enough foresight, or I hope you plan ahead and be on time on that interview. Be early. I mean, nung nag-apply ako, just to share, I'm always about an hour early if it was a face-to-face meeting that I need to attend to. Ngayon kasi it's mostly done remotely or online. So if it's through Zoom or any meeting link over the internet, being on time means being 10 minutes early, or at least 5 minutes early. Join the Zoom call at least 5 minutes early, and that in that way you can address any system issues that you may have before you join the call. Next would be, my suggestion is to dress professionally. So wear a collared shirt. Um, and I'm not really sure for what you want to wear, but you can just Google it, how to dress professionally, right? For me, I would normally wear a jacket with a collar and a collared shirt to make sure that I am able to present myself as professionally as possible. Okay, next would be check your systems and connection. So again, uh, if you are applying for a remote based job, or at least a job where you will be required to work from home or work remotely, make sure you check your systems and connection before the interview. Have your backup ready, have test your mic, test your headset, make sure that you're in a room that is noise free, or at least the least noisy room in your house. Make sure you don't walk into distractions. And again, this is all very important during the interview, because it shows that the interviewer that you've taken time to arrange your environment, you've taken time to check your systems and connection. It shows that you are dependable on the role or the job that you're applying for. Lastly, every time you get asked a question, practice listening, then thinking, then responding. Right? Again, listen first, then think, then respond. I've seen a lot of people skip the thinking part, right? What they do is they listen, and then they respond, and then they think during their response. While it can work for some people, your response to the question of the interviewer will be much more cohesive and will be better if you listen and then think first and then respond. The interviewer, the client will appreciate the 1 second or 2 seconds that it takes you to think before you respond, and then presenting them with a very good response, because you took time to think about your answer before you said it to the interviewer.
And make sure that your CV or resume coincides with the info you say in your career walkthrough. Ayan,
Yes,
sir.
tama. Yes, very very true. Very, again, this falls into honesty.
Mhm.
Make sure you're honest in your resume, because it will be checked, guys.
Mhm.
I've been part of the recruitment team for a long time now, and the recruiters are experts in what they do.
Yes.
They know exactly if you're lying, and even if
Mhm.
you, even let's say you lied and then you made it, your own the role itself or the job itself would call you out. They'd know you lie. They'd know that you lied, because you can't do the job if you lied in your
Mhm.
resume.
And sir, also we have if it is via Zoom, make sure you're also comfortable and no
Very,
distractions.
very true again. Very true.
Mhm. Lalo na sir, if you have pets at home, ito yung isa sa mga problem natin when we have meetings and stuff. Then if we have dogs and cats.
Yes, yes, that's true. I live with a house. I live in a house which has 15 cats inside. So I
Oh.
know for a fact that I keep them on separate rooms in outside my office when I have meetings. Yes, you're right, RJ. Let's take on the last one, which is check if you are a culture fit. So this is the fourth one that you have to do when you go into the application process. How do you do that? First, the mindset. Check yourself first. Check your own self. Before you go into the interview, check your mindset. Okay ba ako ngayon? Am I feeling well? Did I sleep well last night? Do I have a growth mindset? Am I presenting myself in the best possible way? Am I confident? Ayan. So let's address that confidence, no? Uh, I don't know. Maybe 90% of the applicants that I see or hear in their interviews would be nervous. Nervous, right? Kinakabahan. Ako din nung mga interview ko, kinakabahan din naman ako. I think a lot of us, when we are really invested and we really want the job, kinakabahan tayo. Normal yun. It's very normal to feel that emotion. And the sooner you accept that it's normal, the faster you will get over that emotion. Right? Just accept it. Accept it's normal to feel nervous in an interview. And the reason you're feeling nervous is only because of one of two reasons. The first is you did not prepare. You're nervous because you did not prepare. The second reason is you're nervous because you prepared and you really, really want the job, and you're nervous if you will get it because you want it, right? The first one, if you did not prepare, the the answer to that, to remove your nervousness, is prepare, right? That's it. Very straightforward. Next time, prepare. The second one is just understanding that yes, you really want the job, and also know that you did your best to prepare, and what you're feeling is normal. Just accept that what you're feeling is normal, breathe, and then go into the interview with the mindset that you did your best. Now it's time to showcase what you did and how you prepared. Next, how you define yourself. So this is important to do. Again, going back to checking if you're a culture fit. A good example of this is, let's say you're applying for a promotion, or you're applying to switch roles. Let's say you're coming from a technical support background and now you're applying for, let's say, a sales role. Now, coming into that meeting or coming into that interview, if you still define yourself as a technical support person and you're applying for a sales role, it might be difficult for you to showcase what you can do for sales, right? What I suggest you do is before the interview, really ask yourself if you want the job or role that you're applying for. And from there, that's how you define yourself for that interview. Let's say a good example would be, let's say me, I'm applying for a director role, let's say. And before the interview or weeks before the interview, I'd engage in LinkedIn with a lot of CEOs, a lot of directors, a lot of really high level people to get into that mindset, right? To get into the mindset of a director and really understand what I need to be if I become a director for, let's say, X company, right? That's a very good way or a very good practice that I do to get into the mindset of how I define myself into the role that I'm applying for, right? Okay, next and lastly would be make your own personal assessment. You've done your research, you've checked with your friends, you've gone through the interviews, you've asked your questions, and now you know to make your own personal assessment if the company you're joining is something that fits your own personal culture, fits your own personal values. I know there are some people, or I have some friends who refused job offers because the values of the company that they're applying for wasn't in line with their existing values. And they're happy. They're happy with their current companies. They're happy with where they are. This is something that I do myself before I join any company. I check their leadership, and I ask their personal values. I ask the company's values, and also tell them my own personal values. That way, we are both transparent in what we believe in, and if we are to work together, then we should be calibrated in both our values. And so far, this has gone well for me. And I've also seen this gone well with the people that I know, making sure that you make a conscious decision that you are joining a company because it aligns with your values, it aligns with the culture that you want to have for a company. All right. With that said, again, four things that should be your goals to get hired would be: first, know the client; second, establish your competency for the role; number three, show that you are dependable; and number four, check if you are a culture fit. With that said, any questions from the team, from the group?
Actually, we have several questions in mind, Sir
Oh,
Andrew.
okay.
Like for example po no, the one of the important stuff or thing that we should check as well po is yung culture nga po. Tama nga po yun. 100% agree with that. Culture fit. Kasi there are like what I had a discussion before with a colleague, and then he said, "Oh, actually their definition of this quote unquote thing is different from your perspective. So their culture is a lot different from your culture. So even though the pay will be great, and the experience will be great, but if your culture is different from theirs, there will be 100% problem, and you will not have fun or you will not be happy on that kind of work. So the question, sir, is what would you like to suggest to people na they want this job, they want to take this position, but the problem is the difference in culture. How would you suggest, or what can you suggest to these people?
Uh, I need to quantify that question with another
Mhm.
question. Sorry, RJ.
Yes po.
Is the person asking it uh fresh grad joining their first company, or is it someone that's tenured joining another company?
It's a tenured, sir.
Tenured, so
Tenured person.
nagtrabaho na
Yes. Mhm.
before. Okay. And the reason I asked that question is for if it was for a fresh grad, I suggest uh try it out first and join the company. Unless it's really a break in culture na sinabi nung company na sasalihan niya, Dito pinapatay namin yung mga tao, you have them work 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, right? So,
Mhm.
wag mong samahan 'yon. Pero kung halimbawa, ang difference lang would be, let's say, very minor. If you're a
Mhm.
fresh grad trying to gain some experience, try it out first and see, maybe it's your own definition of a culture that needs calibration. But if it's a tenured person who really knows what he or she is looking for, my suggestion there is, even if you want the role, even if you want the job, don't go for it, because you already know what you want. You already know you'll be miserable in that job, right? And there are a lot of companies that are hiring, and if you join a job that you don't like, and then the right company suddenly hires, and you're stuck in a job, and that whole mess of you leaving and then joining another company is uh, won't be helpful for you. That's why I personally, my suggestion is, don't join if the culture doesn't fit your own, if you're a tenured person. So we did prepare for the top interview questions. It's here. It's in the slides. But again, in the interest of time, we will just flash it. And we'll make a separate video for it, or maybe create a live event for it. Just because, again, we're trying to be respectful of everyone's time, and we hope to see you in that next event, no? That we do a follow up for this.
Ikaw Sir RJ, baka may mga kumbaga kahit hindi mga possible questions na mga
Mm.
nakikita mo sa mga students mo dati when applying for a job.
Actually, madami, Sir Andrew. And I think it will be like a good discussion on our next live or video. Kasi there are a lot of fresh grads na, as you know, tulad po na experience nyo, is they had this track or this course, but when finding a job, they get separated from their main career path or from their course. Like, for example, their course is IT, and then they go into business path, like creating their own business and coffee shops and milk tea kiosks and stuff like that. And some are from nurses, and then they go to BPO, and then some are actually enjoying BPO na hindi na nagstay with the healthcare. So yun yung magandang itackle din for the next time, like what are the options you could get kahit na ito yung specific career path that you've taken. Tama po. And madami pong possible questions and discussions that we can actually have on the future live streams.
Yeah, so I think we can compile all the questions,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe we can do a live meeting again, or maybe create content to address the questions. But yes, we can always do that.
Okay, so the last question would be, ano yan Sir RJ? From
Ayan,
Miss
last
Marina?
question po. Ano po yung advice na pwede nyo ibigay sa mga kagaya namin na gustong mag-shift ng another job?
Ah, magandang question yan. Kasi yan yung question naman dun sa podcast na ginawa ko noong Thursday. Lalabas na yan. So, plug ko na rin, no?
Yep,
By,
yep. Go.
ayan. So, I did the podcast with Leader Unlocked. And I think it will be out within the next 2 weeks. And that's one of the questions that was asked. Ano yung advice na mabibigay sa mga tao na gusto mag-shift? So, it's the same thing, no? Make sure that you're ready. But to really, ano ba, answer that question in more detail, the first thing I do is first make sure that I have enough resources to look for a job. I know RJ mentioned it took him a month to find another job, and then maybe another 15 days or 30 days before he gets his first paycheck. Tama ba, RJ? Mga ganun, ano? Parang
Yes.
1 month na naghanap. Tapos, syempre, hindi ka naman sweldo kagad.
Mm-hmm.
So, you need another 15 or 30 days. So, that's the first thing, really. If you're trying to shift careers or shift to another job, magtabi ka na. Make sure you have enough savings to cover for maybe 2 to 3 months to be safe. Because based from the people that I talk to, based from their experience, it takes about 2 to 3 months to really find a good job. considering if you're skilled, of course, right? So 2 to 3 months, tabi ka ng 2 to 3 months mo na monthly para hindi ka naman desperate. Because if you're desperate to look for a job, it might force you to make mistakes. It might force you to shortcut a few things, not really research a company, or maybe join a company na pwede na. Then eventually you'll be tired of that company because you realize when you're there that it's not the right company for you. So just to avoid the whole desperation thing, please save up money, 2 to 3 months, so you can have some padding in your resources or your funds to apply. Next, research the company that you want to go in, or research the role that you're shifting to. So halimbawa, galing ka ng accounting, gusto mo mag-shift ng, I don't know, sales, let's say. Really think about and research if you want to be in sales. Because the last thing you want is you go into sales and then you realize that you want accounting, but now it's harder to go back into the old role. So research about the role and the job that you want to go into before you make that shift. So plan your resources, research about the company and the role that you're applying to. And number three, one suggestion that I can give you is if you're really shifting to a new job, try to get some skills on that new job before you even apply. There's a lot of internships available, some paid, some unpaid. If you are looking to shift, try to get some experience under your belt first and then make the switch. That will give you two things, experience and the knowledge if you want to really go for that post.